new year offers yet another opportunity to make amends in what didn't go well in the previous year. I'm very sure that quite a number of us have our career goals well drawn out, your finance goals, your relationship goals. So the question is, do you have a health goal plan for the year 2026? Why do we always leave our health unattended to? But beyond drawing out a health plan, the other question is, why do we fail in our health plan? Most health plan fails largely because they are poorly designed, not necessarily because we are weak or we don't have enough self-will to carry it through. In the next couple of series, we'll be looking at how to build or create a realistic health plan for the year 2026. Welcome to 24/7. Also, bring it to us to read after that particular from the beginning of the last time. Welcome back to 247 Health Matters. I'm your host once again, Dr. D. It's my pleasure to be back with you in this series on how to build a workable, realistic health plan for 2026. We're going to begin with the foundation and our mindset, because that's where it all begins. And we'll be looking at why most health plans fail. A realistic health plan is not just aspirational. It is grounded in biology and sustained through psychology, and of course, rooted in the understanding of context awareness. Before drawing up a plan or health plan for the year 2026, the first thing you need to know is having the understanding of what makes people to fail or succeed. And one of the reasons why we fail is over-reliance on our self-will. You see why that is flawed is because we will never have the same energy, you will never have the same motivation, and sometimes our energy and motivation fluctuates over the course of the year. That is a very important point that you need to keep at the back of your mind. The second is focusing on the wrong parameters or metrics. For example, we always focus on, I want to lose weight. So the question is, you need to look at other undercurrents that are even maybe more important than the weight. For example, do you know the impact of stress on weight gain? So all of these you need to be aware of, that there are other indices that may make it difficult for you to lose that excess weight. The third, very important, is ignoring your biology. The biology is very important. I mean, age, the gender, specific factors. For example, most women are protected from cardiovascular events because of the X chromosome, and also partly because of the estrogen. But as soon as they cross menopause, the risk for cardiovascular event increases. So if you're a woman and you are premenopausal versus when you're postmenopausal, your risks are not the same. The same thing applies when you're trying to lose weight. I've seen people trying to lose weight and they say, oh, I've cut down all my carbohydrates. I've cut down this. And they adopt what we call extreme caloric restriction. And some people do extreme exercise. But what you're not aware is that the organ that controls weight loss is actually in the brain. And this organ is very smart. So when you're trying to do that, the body adjusts and adapts such that your metabolic rate declines. So in a way, it's trying to protect you. But so if you don't understand how your body works, how your biology works, you may miss the mark. The next factor is what I call the all or none mentality. I either have it this way or no other way. So when you drop your health goal and plan and your strategy, you need to know that certain circumstances are going to change. For example, during travel time, when you're ill, or when you're very busy, what are your strategies? And when you travel out of the home and you don't have access to your healthy meals, what are your strategies? When you don't have access to the gym, what are your strategies? So you need to think about this. So if you are stuck to just one way, then you're going to have real issue. Now, I want you to begin to see health not just as a goal, but as a system, and looking at the different systems in the body and how each affect the other. If one is not working well, it may have influence on the other. So there are 6 major domains that you need to begin to look at: your metabolic health, your cardiovascular health, your muscle and physical functioning, your mental and emotional well-being, your sleep and recovery and circadian rhythm, and of course, your preventive and risk-based care. All these domains, we're going to be looking at them subsequently. And let me introduce to you what I call the realistic framework. This will be like a guide for you as you draw out your health goal or plan for 2026. Your plan on health for 2026 must pass the test of this realistic framework if it's going to work for you. The first is the R. So if you look at the realistic, the acronym REALISTIC. So if you look at it, let's begin with the R. The R is your goal or your plan must be risk focused. So that means you need to address all risk that you have, maybe before and even now, and maybe what kind of risk you're going to have in the future. For example, let's say you have a family history of diabetes. That means you are at the risk of developing diabetes. Let's say you are obese, or you are, maybe you've drank significant amount of alcohol. So all of these things, you need to consider them while you're drawing out your plan. And then you need to ask the question, because your plan must not just be cosmetic. It must address a problem. So will this goal or plan or intervention, whatever it is that I'm bringing on board, will it address my risk? Will it stop me from developing diabetes or hypertension or having stroke if you have cardiovascular risk factors? So very, very important. It must be risk focused. That's the number one. The second, it must be evidence-based. So that means you must use intervention that is supported by science, not just anecdotal fact, just what you read on the internet, on a blog, that is not substantiated by literature. So whatever it is you are thinking about must be supported by physiology and outcomes, which is documented in literature. The next is that your health goal must be adaptive. That means the plan must be able to survive both the bad and the good times. So when you are not able to do some things, maybe because you're sick, maybe because you're traveling, maybe because of commitment, maybe family commitment, it must be flexible and adaptable to circumstances. Next is that it must have low friction. That means the ease of carrying out your health plan or intervention must be such that you don't need a lot or elaborate planning. If you need to plan for so long, then that's whatever the intervention is or the strategy is not going to work for you. So it must have low friction. High friction strategy or goal tend to fail. The next is you must individualize your health goal, plan, or intervention, or whatever metrics you're using. The reason for that is you have to consider the age, the gender, the health status, your comorbid condition. That means maybe you have certain diseases. All of these things you need to consider. Your work schedule, your culture, the kind of food that you eat or you have access to, all of these things. So you can't be thinking about, using data you got on the internet about the kind of food they eat in the Western world when you live in Africa. So very, very important that you must individualize your goal. The next is it must be system supported. You must have instruments that helps you to keep to the schedule. So maybe something that prompts you to go on a workout, or maybe something that prompts you to sleep for maybe X number of hours in the night. So you must have systems or certain tools that helps you to stick to your plan. The next is it must be trackable. There is no point having health goals that you cannot measure. So you want to be sure that, okay, you know where you were and where you're going. And that helps you because when you get feedback, then you know whether you need to tweak your plan. So trackable, very, very important. You need to measure how well you're doing. The next is it must be iterative, meaning that you must be able to tweak the plan per time, especially if it is not working, and find a way to make it work. So your goal or health plan is not just just a statement. It is a journey. It's not just one-time decision. It is a journey. And that journey, from time to time, you may need to tweak it to suit your situation and circumstances at every point in time. Last but not the least, there must be context awareness about your plan. You need to be sure that this thing fits into your current realities. Like I've said, maybe you have family commitments, or the kind of cuisine that you have around you, where you live, or there are other issues, do you understand, that come up? So your context or your situation must be factored in. I have come to the end of this session. Studies have shown that most plans fail within 6 to 8 weeks of their implementation. So the question is, do you have issues carrying out your health plan or goal for yesteryears? Please, I want to know what the issues are. Put those things in the comment section, and I believe we can rub minds and provide solutions to what the issues are. Next time, we'll be looking at the different domain of health that is guaranteed to help you to succeed in your health plan and goal for the year 2026. I believe you learned something during this session. I'm glad that you did. Please like, subscribe to our channel, and also share with a friend or someone who will benefit immensely from the contents. And also, don't forget to hit that notification button so that you can get more content from us subsequently. I'll see you next time. I remain your friend, Dr. D. Stay healthy.